Hey there, fashion journalist Alison Nieder here with Benzac Lennart Nye of Amsterdam and Boris Jeans Jordan Nodarse in LA. We're going to talk about some of the current challenges and opportunities in sourcing and sustainability for independent designers. We have a wide-ranging conversation planned, so I'm going to very quickly let people know a bit about your brands. Benzac is a European denim and lifestyle brand from Amsterdam, founded to create high-quality and made-to-last garments with a focus on craftsmanship and timeless design. Boys Jeans describes itself as a carbon neutral brand that employs ethical and sustainable practices to develop and manufacture its products, which are made with a zero waste, environmentally friendly, cruelty-free, and circular process. Welcome, Leonard and Jordan.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So, Leonard, I'm going to start with you. How does sourcing dictate your design choices when you're developing new products for a collection?
Well, the starting point for us is always fabric. I think when I found the brand, it was when I was really into fabrics, especially Japanese selvedge denim. We still do that on a big level. So for us, the sourcing always starts with the fabric itself, because we are a small company. We're doing relatively small quantities. And a lot of mills require usually big minimum order quantities. We need to be quite smart with how we develop our products. Like, we can't use like loads of new fabrics for every collection. Although sometimes I want to do that. You know, you see so many nice new things. But since we're a smaller brand, we have to focus on the things that we told ourselves to do that season or that year, and how we want to grow. And that also has to do with the amount of styles we produce. I mean, we have to we need to develop multiple styles, usually in single fabrics, to be able to work with certain minimums.
Makes sense. Jordan, Boris Jeans is also focused on sustainable sourcing, but I think you have a slightly different approach. Can you elaborate a little on that?
Yeah, so I like to go back all the way to the fiber and sort of the creation of whatever comes into the products, the ingredients, shall I say. I like to geek out on the spinning and, like blending the fibers together and figuring out how everything kind of comes together. So with us, we really look at trying to reduce the virgin content is really the first goal. And then the second goal is whatever virgin, contents of fiber that we do use, we try to use low impact. So that means, we reduce the amount of cotton, organic cotton, that we can use all the way to the lowest number. And then we blend in cellulosic fibers like Tencel or Refibra. And so we like
really quickly. So that means that the collection is primarily recycled.
Yeah, I think almost every fabric. We only have a few fabrics that do not include recycled contents, but that's also because we actually take our cutting scraps from all of our fabric and recycle them back into our fabrics. So, because primarily maybe 60 to 70% of our collection is actually rigid, non-stretch fabrics, which are very easy to do mechanical recycling and also cellulosic recycling. But for right now, using the mechanical recycling really reduces the impact, considering the fact that it doesn't require any new resources. Just requires a little bit of energy to pretty much tear up the cotton to blend it back in with something else. And we realized that when you blend it with cellulosic fibers like Tencel, or even better Refibra, that the stronger Tencel strength of the fibers from Tencel and Refibra blend together with the less strong fiber strength of the recycled cotton, and together they kind of equal back together like a healthy form. And we realized that, putting this mostly in the warp or in the warp yarns versus the weft yarns, that you have three yarns now that are kind of banding together as a team, and it kind of creates this strength that makes a really high quality product that you would end up not even noticing the difference, and would never even know if there was actually recycled content in there, which is kind of the ultimate goal. Is we want people to be buying, sustainable products without even knowing that they were maybe even sustainable. They could be even better than original products.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Um, this next question is for both of you. Have your sourcing strategies changed since the coronavirus crisis, or do you anticipate making adjustments in the future? I don't know which one wants to go first. Leonard, you want?
I can go first. We had some issues with our Italian sourcing. One of our main denim producers is Candiani. They are based in the area of Milan, which is the north of Italy, which was one of the worst areas regarding the pandemic. So it has been closed off for some time. Unfortunately, things are getting back on track right there. So we have maybe a few delays on some of their fabrics at the moment. But we work quite close together with our manufacturers, our mills. We only use European mills or Japanese mills. We have quite strong partnerships, and I think that's also really important to have in today's world, where we keep working with them. It's a continuous plan, and I don't see, luckily for us, I don't see any big changes regarding the way we source our product. You hear a lot of news about cancellations of orders in for example production countries like Bangladesh from like the big retail chain, which is of course devastating for all those companies and the whole chain involved. But being independent like us and working directly and close together with certain mills and our manufacturers in Portugal and Japan allows us to keep working the same way as we've done. We need to be careful, of course, because you never know what's going to happen in the coming months. Retail is also affected by the pandemic. For now, we're not seeing any cancellations in orders, luckily. So also the end of the chain is working together. It's like you have, I mean, the whole, if there, if you have a chain and one part of the chain is not working, the entire chain, how do you say that? Will, falls down. It's like a domino effect, basically. And in our chain, everyone is working, as how I feel it, quite closely together to keep everything working. So in that way, I'm quite happy to say that no, not really, actually.
Well, that's excellent. Jordan, how has the crisis affected your business?
Well, it's kind of interesting because obviously wholesale is the one that got hit the hardest. We've realized that maybe some of our bigger wholesalers that are primarily online, we thought would be doing really well and taking opportunities to succeed with maybe sales or promotions or whatever sort of marketing that they would have gone through. But it was really interesting to see who did succeed and who hasn't. And with that said, we really just filtered out the players that we felt like were going to partner with us during this. And we cut down, we pretty much got rid of all of our department stores. It is sad. Department stores are a thing of the past. They just don't fit in the future. It is sad to see that, considering that, I grew up with them. I've worked with them for so long. And unfortunately, it's just, there isn't a place for small brands in there. They like to think that they can pick up small brands, but they do that just because they know that they can bully them around. And that's a real big issue, especially right now in the US with the current state of, social injustice, that it's like negativity breeds more negativity. And people need to understand that the foundation of working together, which is spreading love and compassion. And that's what we try to do with our business. That's why we try to educate people. So right now, the one thing that we're noticing the most is that we need to improve our direct-to-consumer business as much as possible. We need to find retailers that are willing to work with us and tell more of our sustainability story to help educate our consumers. And so our strategy of the way that we're kind of implementing things is less about supply chain, because our supply chain we've already kind of had that super small. we use a very small amount of fabrics. You know, like we do a lot of like we'll do darker, cleaner washes, and if they don't sell well, we take them, and if something's lighter wash does well, we'll rewash it to match that. So we really focus on doing certain supply chain methods to keep our inventory low and to keep the capability of not producing products that we're just going to end up having to off price. And we match that with just trying to find good retailers that we can also match that, you know, and people to support us, and people that will also pay us on time. That was the biggest hit for us was, you know, we had a lot of people when this all happened not pay us. And then that just trickles down the chain to other people not getting paid. And that's the most disappointing factor of having to work with other people when you're a B2B sort of business.
Mhm. Leonard, you've used the phrase smart design, and I wonder if you could explain what you think smart design and development means to you, and how does that translate to your sourcing and inventory decisions?
Maybe I can explain it with some experience I had in the past when I was still working in retail before I found my brand. I was still studying. It was when I was was selling jeans, and we had a specific pair from a specific brand which was selling quite well. In the season after that, we didn't receive that specific model, but a new style which was quite similar, different name. And then our customer came in, was asking for the same pair of jeans in a new wash or a new fabric, and I had to tell him, well, they don't have that. We don't have that product anymore, but we have this new style which is almost the same, but I already lost the customer during that conversation. And that made me realize that, especially in denim, you should, at least I'm considering it as a non-seasonal product. So that means you should start the whole process, which is the design and development process, also with that in mind. So everything that we design and develop is meant to be kept in the collection for as long as possible. In a perfect world, I want to completely go away from the seasons anyway. But since we're still quite small, we have to deal with the budgets of retailers, and they usually have it like 2 times a year during the regular buying seasons. So we need to we're still dependent on those selling moments. But if you look at the current Benzoc collection, the majority of it, which you can find online, has been there for more than 3 seasons already. And for example, the jeans that we started with in 2013 are still one of our best sellers. And that shows that especially, at least in the segment where we're in, it's mainly men's denim, unwashed, so salvage denim. So you have to break it in yourself. We don't do any washes. We don't do stretch. We saw that it's a customer that is want to buy into, like, when they have their fit, they just want to keep buying it, maybe change the fabric from time to time. And with that in mind, I think that smart design and development is to create seasonless collections. Also, what I said before, try to use fabrics not only for jeans, but for example, use the same fabric for a jacket. Or the current SS20 season, we used a herringbone fabric. We used it for a shirt, but we used it also for a pair of shorts, and we used it for the yoke of a jacket. So 3 different items that also helps us create unity. I'm not a trained designer. I've done fashion school, but the let's say the development and management part. So that helps me creating synchronized collections, let's say, stuff that matches. So it helps me as well to be able to show to present a united look, let's say, without making it too difficult for yourself as well. And because you will be able to sell the product, or at least the idea is to sell the product season after season. it's easier to buy a little bit more stock, and those kind of things. I mean, our operation is global, so we sell in the entire world, and it's always summer somewhere. It's always winter somewhere. So you can always sell anything at the same time. That's yeah. So that's our approach basically.
Jordan, you have since your collection is women's, you have a slightly different pressure in terms of refreshing styles season after season. Would you agree?
Yeah, women like new
Yeah.
stuff. They like to wear something new all the time. Yeah, I mean, it's like Lennart said, though. It's denim is just a seasonless product in general. It's like, I mean, most people have a pair of jeans, they just wear it every day, all day long, every day of the year. And
We
I'm a
do that.
culprit. Yeah, I'm a culprit of that too.
Same pair.
Yeah, same pair. And we can make our own jeans, and we just wear the same pair over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's funny because with women, the mentality is a little bit different. However, that's the unique thing about denim, is that out of most clothes, denim I find is the one product that people really create a connection with it. Like when people find that pair of jeans that just fits, they feel it, and they know, they're like, all right, this ass is gonna get me a husband. It's like that mentality that they know, it's gonna get me compliments. It's gonna make my best friend jealous. It's like that's sort of, it's an empowering, whatever the empowerment is, whether it feeds your ego or whether it just makes your day happier, or whatever it might be. And that was actually what kind of attracted me to women's fashion in general. And each season, like women, they want different colors. They dress more seasonal. However, the unique thing about denim is that, with us, we are washing our jeans, so it's like we can use the same fabric every season.
Mhm.
I don't have fabrics that I use like each season only. In fact, like a lot of our jeans are on the lighter side, because if you look at it, a lot of people are buying these vintage Levi's, and there's only two colors you can get vintage Levi's in: medium or light. And it's kind of like the Ford's original Model T. He's like, you can get it in black or black. He was like, he had one color option. And I think it's kind of interesting that you almost need to guide your consumers, which isn't something that's easy to do. But if you do guide them into getting them to understand the brand, and they will know how to shop it in a seasonless format. With us, we have, we'll do some more like shorter dresses and shorts and stuff like that, and obviously spring and summer. But we also, those same materials, those same washes, they still carry into like the full pant versions, or a longer dress or a jumpsuit. And those are stuff that we can sell almost all year round. I don't have as much of a worldwide business to where I sell to the bottom part of the hemisphere. So we really just work on the Northern Hemisphere seasonal schedule. And then pretty much it works out well for us in the regard that most people, and even stores, when we're doing wholesale, will still continue to buy the stuff that we have in our spring collection. They'll want to buy it again in fall and winter, because they saw how well it did in spring and summer. And they know that denim, that people want all the shades all year round.
And this question is actually for both of you, and it fits with what you were both talking about. How do you, as an independent brand, create a product that stands out against a larger company that has access to all the same materials and then just has these crazy economies of scale? So maybe Lennart, back to you, and then we'll come back to Jordan.
It's always a tricky thing, because as a small brand, you want to be unique. You want to be different from the rest. Then again, you don't have the buying power to make like exclusive fabrics all the time. We do have some exclusive fabrics actually, but it's limited to 3 at the moment. We apply our smart design and development format on that, so we use multiple styles. We carry it over every season to be able to to create fabrics that are not accessible by the bigger companies as well. But still, the majority of what we do is obviously available to any other clothing company. Of course, design and product approach is one thing, but what we're trying to do with our product, or not even with our product, with our concept, is to build a community. So we are closing contact with our customer, and our customer is basically the denim nerd. So the guy who wants to break in his own pair of raw denim jeans, show his fades on Instagram, um, communicate with other people all around the world. There are Facebook groups, there are IG DM groups. There's all loads of places now because of the internet, where they can connect, and that is something that is very important to us. Me personally, I actually came from that group. I've been into denim since I was, or at least Japanese denim, since I was 16. I'm now 35, and I grew up basically on the forums. That's before social media. There were internet forums, where there are still internet forums right now, like Reddit. But that was your only source of information, and there you could geek out basically with other denim nerds about the product, about how to wear, how to style it as well. And my brand was basically born on the forums. It was, the first collections were funded through crowdfunding, Kickstarter. So we've always been very, very closely connected with our customers. Same goes with the retailers. We don't work with department stores at all. So we only work with smaller retailers, like specialized stores, that really understand the product. And because we do jeans that are up to 300 euros, and you have to, unwashed, so you have to you need to be able to explain that to your customer. So we need a certain set of retailers that can translate our vision of being able to, or willing to break in a pair of jeans and go through that whole process, that the first couple of weeks you'll not be seeing anything. And also, I want to just follow up on the women's bit a little bit, because we just launched our second pair of women's jeans. But we only do like the men's kind of way, and that's a whole different thing, of course, for us. So we with the men's line, we are really into not into, but we have set ourselves within the niche market, and people that are denim lovers, they know the brand by now. But for women's, it's completely different. So it's very interesting to explain the same story to women now, which is a lot more difficult. But Jordan can probably acknowledge that try to sell a pair of raw denim jeans non-stretched to women is a lot more difficult. But it's fun, and it's
loop Jordan, and we're sort of running up on our time limit, so I want to loop
no problem
on this question as well.
Yeah, I think in comparison to larger brands, I mean, jeans are jeans. Everyone's going to find their brand, and people, the thing about, I think, girls versus maybe guys is that guys find their brand, and they want to buy the same jeans until they die. Girls, they're very open to trying new brands, especially if they see somebody of influential impact in their life. Not just an influencer, but that could be a best friend, or it could be a celebrity or an influencer, or it could be, a stylist or a magazine publication. that tells them, oh, like this is the gene you need to have. And that'll be like, all right, no, let me give it a try. Now, all the big brands, they have money. So they're going to pay for all that. They're going to try innovation and all that sort of stuff. But all that takes them years. They have so many hoops to jump through and so many different people to get approvals. Everybody's got their piece that they need to take of that pie. And at the end of the day, they need to have dividend returns. That's the thing about smaller brands is, this sense of sustainability is really selflessness. Our main goal isn't for dividend returns. Our main goal is to produce a product that is better, not just for the environment, but also for the people who are buying it. We want them to have a better future. We don't want to sell them products that is destroying their future. That makes no sense. That's ultimately killing your customer in the end. And that's, I like to think back in like a historical moment that this tiny island, England, was able to take over the vast empire of the world because of their navy. And it wasn't because they had the biggest ships like Spain had. It was because they had these medium-sized, very fast ships. They're able to outrun the other ships. They're maneuverable, and they use the strategy of balance, of figuring out the perfect size, and educating their navy and figuring out the whole formula to make this all make sense. And that's how strategy happens, is that you have to be able to move fast, you have to have innovation, and it's very important to have a story to tell your customers. You need your customers to be able to value your brand. And if they don't feel like you have a value to them and that you're not doing something valuable, you're going to lose them eventually, which means you're just going to be constantly trying to pick up new customers. So that's something that smaller brands, and especially like for us, like, it doesn't matter the material. Like, sure, we have more innovative materials that we can use because I can implement into my company within 3 to 6 months, where a big company takes 3 to 4 years. Yes. However, even if I do it, they'll come out and do it bigger. So what's the difference between us is having more value and having a story that we can tell our consumers, and that we have the same consumers constantly coming back to us because they appreciate the value that we give to them.
Well, we are right up against our timeline. I think that's a perfect place to stop, because I do think in researching both of your companies, you both have a very strong story to convey to your customers. And I think that that's one thing, as you were saying, that an independent designer has the nimbleness to be able to communicate that. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.